Kelly O'Connor here with Mountain Financial. We have been asked over and over again to please explain or show some math behind the whole concept of buy term and invest the difference. There are a couple things that need to be understood about the whole buy term, invest the difference, and one is it's pretty new. When you look back over the history of our country, it really started in the early 80s, ironically, when the largest workforce to ever exist was all working, the baby boomers. The government also changed a whole bunch of rules dealing with insurance, and they also created the qualified plan back then in order to uh, really captivate the retirement dollars. Today, there's over $18 trillion in qualified plans and in those 401ks, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and SEPs and 403bs, etc. So there's really no wonder why some things changed, why investing, putting the money into the market and having people manage it compared to being with the insurance company, and how all of that started when you look at the effects of the baby boomers and that biggest workforce to ever exist. But there's concept and math that we need to take a look at here to really bust through if this myth is really in your best interest. First of all, I read recently on a website of an illustration of only $100 a month, and buy the term at 7, and save the 93. Well, I'm curious why that is only on insurance. I mean, cable bills are easily $125, 100 to $150 a month. Cell phones certainly are in that range. So why aren't we paying $15 for prepaid phones and investing the difference? Why aren't we buying a rabbit ears antenna and investing the difference instead of cable? Why aren't we buying a push mower instead of a Toro and investing the difference? So why is it relegated only to insurance? That's a legitimate question. But what we want to do is let's look at it. Let's take a scenario. So here's the assumptions that we're going to take into account today. First, we have a 35-year-old male. He has $24,000 to invest and to purchase the coverage for his family. And he's seeking, as the primary wage earner, he wants $1 million in life insurance coverage to protect his wife and two young children in case he happens to pass prematurely. Now, he was given two recommendations. Given two. Oh, you gotta love that. There you go. Given two recommendations. Number one, buy term insurance for the $1 million and invest the remaining $23,000. Number two is buy a properly designed, max-funded, non-MEC, dividend-paying whole life insurance contract with a mutual company to maximize his cash and use the entire $25,000 to do so. Now, the opponents of option one say that it is chock full of assumptions, unknown future tax rates, hypothetical rate of returns, management fees, etc., and of course risk. The opponents of option two say that this gentleman's money is going to expensive insurance and carries very little, if any, growth. So which one does he choose? We have two opposing views, and a lot of people even debating it fairly emotionally. So let's open up. What we want to do is we just want to look at the math. We choose to let math win for us here, and I'm thought about having this pre-built, but I thought I would build it with you so you would see that you would see exactly as we lay it out. Now, this guy, we're going to say being 35, he's born August 1st, 1976, all right? We'll use a couple assumptions. The income and annual increase is really irrelevant. Retirement age, we'll say he's at a current tax bracket of 30, 15 cap gains, retirement. Well, we will, for now, keep the retirement at the same. Now, that's certainly a discussion we're going to step into because I personally, when we're looking at the aging population, the declining workforce, all the entitlements and all the spending and the two wars, there are very few economists that believe we're in a decreasing tax environment. Now, we'll put opportunity cost at, say, 5%. Now, the opportunity cost for this particular piece is going to be the term insurance. You see, the term insurance is an expense. That money, that amount that we're going to find out how much for his $1 million, that annual fee is going to buy the term insurance. Well, that's a dollar amount that he can no longer invest, right? So there's a lost opportunity cost to those premiums. And we'll calculate it at a reasonable 5, and we'll go ahead and say inflation about 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add an account, and we're going to pick the term insurance, okay? We're just going to go down here, term insurance. We'll call it term insurance. It's a protecting account. And we will go ahead and close. Now, what I need to do is input a reasonable premium for him, and we're going to go to a website to shop, kind of like an Orbitz to shop. But what we're looking at here, let's go ahead and get rid of some of the things here we don't need. Okay, we're going to do a death benefit of $1 million, and we'll do that for, let's just say 30 years. It's not inflated. And let's go shopping. Now, we're going to go to a website called quickquote.com. This is, again, like a Travelocity or an Orbitz. It has nothing to do with us or any other insurance company. Let's go ahead and let's pick the state of Colorado. That's where we're at. Male. He was born August 1st to 1976. Say he's a big horse here, but in good shape. 6'1", 205. Never smoked. We'll just give him a preferred rating, and we will look for $1 million in coverage and 30 years paying annual. So a coverage term of 30 years. Now, this looks like it's an average of about $1,000. We have Genworth at $993, ING at $998, American General $1,004, Prudential $1,035, $1,040, Transamerica Mutual of Omaha $1,082. So roughly $1,000 a year to buy his $1 million in coverage. So let's go ahead and let's input that. So his premium is $1,000, and he gets that for 30 years. Okay. So now you'll see the lost opportunity cost here. 5% of 1,000 is $50, right? So he's transferred $1,050 out of his system. Now he's buying $1 million in coverage, yes, but that $1,000 cannot earn for him anymore over time. Each year it doesn't, and he slowly transfers money away. So this $1,050 year 2 could have earned at 5%, but it didn't, and then we need to add on the new $1,000 payment as well. So this column begins to add up. So at the end, if he lived to age 66 and his $1 million is done, it didn't just cost him. Obviously, we can pull up here the cumulative premium paid. Went right past it. So we can pull up the cumulative premiums. So obviously, over 30 years at $1,000, he would have only spent $30,000. But there is a lost opportunity cost to that money because that was an expense, and it truly ended up costing him $69,761. So as he goes out over time, at the 30 years later, that policy ended up costing him $300,000. Now, we talk about lost opportunity cost on every front, and that is something we must consider. We have to look at truly what this policy cost him. It was just over double than what his term premiums truly were. Okay, but he did get the $1 million for that time frame, and now let's go ahead and say that James Finance here is going to invest the remaining. He had $24,000, so he's taking option 1 here to take the $1,000 and now invest the remaining $23,000. So we need to enter in, let's just for now do a taxable account. So looking to grow, starts out at 0, is LIFO, pay taxes from lifestyle. We're going to say no. I'll explain that in a minute. Let's go ahead and let's just give him a 5% return. It is taxable, and we'll close this. Let's go ahead and let's enter in some contributions. Every year for 30 years, he's going to contribute, right, $23,000. I want to get rid of some of the stuff here that, well, we'll keep it there for now. You can see how detailed this spreadsheet is. But stay with me on this. If his $23,000 earned a 5% return in a taxable environment, right, every year it's going to grow at 5. He has some taxable growth at his at his 30% tax bracket, he'll end up paying for this first year $345. Now I have it selected as pay it from lifestyle, and this is no. It's paying the taxes out of this account. Now some people will say, well, hold on, you don't do that. You pay it from your lifestyle money. You don't deplete the account, and we can certainly do that, and you'll see that the balance at the end of the year here is a little bit better. But here's the deal. If I say, yeah, don't pay the taxes out of this account, pay it from lifestyle. So this year pay $345, this year pay $707. You know, down here you're going to pay $10,500 in taxes on this growth. Well, then I have to open up a new account and I have to show that money coming from somewhere. So really, just to not muddy it up too much, it nets out to be the exact same. It's just easiest to show it in here. Okay. So we have our taxes coming out now. If we were to go down to year 30, he accrued about $1.2 million. Not bad. Now we're going to get back to a better rate of return, and we're going to alter some of the functions here, but keep in mind this is 5% with no fees whatsoever, just taxable. 5% every single year without ever taking a loss. So there's a discussion to be had there, but we'll play with this here in a minute. So we're at the end of age 65, he has $1.2 million. Now what I want to do is open up a new account. We'll call this the present position. Let me just save it to my desktop real quick. And let's go ahead and, thank you, let's go ahead and open up a new case. All right, we're going to call this one proposed. Enter in all the same information, the same variables here. And we're going to now say, okay, here's option 2. He's going to buy a permanent life insurance policy as outlined. We'll just call it permanent life. And he's going to use the entire $24,000 to do so. Pause this. Okay, definitely have some things to get rid of here, so I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, now I already have an illustration pulled up. You'll see age 35. Now I know in here it's age 36 because this is at the end of year 1. Okay, so 35, preferred, non-smoker. And I know for $24,000 with a designed policy like this, a properly designed, max funded, non-MEC, which stands for modified endowment contract. So max funded, non-modified endowment contract, dividend paying, whole life insurance contract with a mutual company. We'll use this to maximize the 24 grand. And I know that $24,000 gets us in the properly designed policy roughly $1 million. Remember, we're trying to compare apples to apples. He wants $1 million in coverage. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, for the first 30 years here, to age 65, I am going to just copy death benefit. Let's paste that in. I'm going to go ahead and copy the cash value. That in. And then we know that he's going to be, in this case, doing $24,000, right? So let's do this. Let's do a quick comparison. Put that off to the side. And I want to open the present position here that we just did. This is the by term position. All right, so if we scroll down here on the term, the end of age 65, he's got right here, oops, he's got what, 1.2? We're at 1.6. Okay, so in this case, the buy term and invest the difference lost. We have roughly $410,000 more of accessible money to draw income off of and to play with. Now, you might say, okay, well, hold on a second here, Kelly. We need to come over here. These kind of rates are, this is silly. All right, well, let's take a look at this. Let's look at what if we were able to increase our return. Now, this is a fairly sizable increase to say we're going to go to 7%. Now, keep in mind what we haven't done at this point. We haven't added any kind of fees to it, right? But here, let's even take it to 7 and balance at the end of the year. He's at 1575. That's still not enough. Let's go to 8. See if 8 does it. Here. Now we're getting closer. Keep in mind, though, this is taxable money. But let's go to 7.5. Okay. Now we're looking to be about the same. 7.5% with no fees whatsoever. So you don't have anybody managing this for you. You're out there on your own. You just barely won. So in this perspective over here on the buy term and invest the difference, what kind of risk profile are you having to take on over here? Right? This is a 7% every single year, 7.5 every single year without a loss ever for those 30 years to get you to where you're basically the same as what kind of risk-based environments over here with an insurance company that is pretty much almost 100% of a fixed income portfolio with an insurance company that's been around for over 100 years. This is more of this risk profile here is significantly less. Now, again, let's step over to this side. All right, Kelly, you might say, I would put this money in a position to where I'm not going to be getting a 100% taxable position. I could, maybe do, 50% of that, it would be in cap gains. All right, great. Well, let's split that up. That's certainly going to improve it some. Now, if you're going to be playing around and you're going to be getting into the equities market like that, well, you are almost definitely going to be in a position to where you're going to need a money manager. So let's go ahead and say, because a lot of them will tell you that they can get you 8%, but let's go ahead and add in a money manager fee. Okay, so the money manager fee, let's just be nice, and let's do, you are only paying 1%. So really what this is this is just a money manager. This return here is assuming any other fees that go along with it, whether it be if you're invested in mutual funds, transaction costs associated with that, etc. Purely just a money manager of 1%. And they get you 8% with 50% of that in capital gains. Let's go out here to year 30. You're now balanced into year at 1.8. Well, hey, that actually starts to look a little bit better, right? All right, well, let's take a look now, because keep in mind, we still have capital gains issues if we go to pull that money out. If we choose to pull all of that money out, well, let's take a look at how much is needing to be paid if we were to pay and deplete that account. So right here, the estate value, assuming is a full withdrawal, which is at 1.742. So that particular year, we'd have to take off about another $100,000 in cap gains. So we're just slightly ahead at 1.742 than we are at our 1.6 in our little policy, right? But here's the deal. Over here, we have taken on an exorbitant amount of risk, 8% every single year. Let's look at what happens if we just, even on a smaller balance, let's take 1 year of 20% loss. Just 1 year. Right there at year 5. Come down here to year 30. Well, check it out. We're now at 1.692. A loss anywhere along the way will devastate or will drastically change this number. So here we're assuming that we've got a money manager getting us 8% after all the other fees associated with the type of investment every single year without a loss for 30 years, just to barely beat what we can be doing over here in our policy at 1.6. But here's part of the deal. This money here is completely tax-free. So let's take a look. If we were to then start to withdraw money, we got our withdrawal column. We're here at age 66. We are going to reduce this account over the next 30 years. So we're telling it, and oh, you know what? One thing I need to change. When you turn 65 years old or 66 in retirement, at this point, do you keep your money in a high-risk equities position? Absolutely not. You change it to more of a guaranteed position. Oops. Right? You are not staying in the equities because principal loss here is brutal, and because of that, you may be able to drop your money management fee. Your money manager kicked butt for 30 years, and now you're more into a position to guarantee principal and also to just provide income for you. So now we're going to show with a reducing strategy on this balance for 30 years. We're not going to inflate the income, and it will calculate $95,000 per year that you could withdraw for the next 30 years, and then at year 31, when you're 96, you have nothing. Okay, you're out of money, right? Your balance is zero. Okay, so you withdrew $95,000, but there is a tax position on this, right? There are taxes that are associated with pulling this money out because we still have some capital gains issues. So if we look here and here, we've got $14,255 in taxes on that, so we have a spendable income of $81,000 basically, $80,781. Of that $95,000 that you could pull out, $81,000 roughly is your after-tax fee. Now, your after-tax amount. Keep in mind, assuming tax rates remain the same. Now, if you're an individual who has grown an asset account up to $1.8 million, if you think you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, you're being advised incorrectly. Okay, but you have $80,000. Well, let's go over to our policy. What I didn't do is I didn't carry it on any further than that year 30. So let's go ahead and copy in year 31 to where we're 95 years old, right here. This is the cash value. Copy in the rest. Copy in the death benefit now. Up to, where was it? Right there. So let's look at our policy now. We just added in the rest. Now if you notice, within the illustration here, I'm able to pull out $90,473 for 30 years and still leave about $151,000 and $653,000 in a death benefit. So let's $90,473. So we got to input that withdrawal. Good Lord, I'm sorry. $90,473 for 30 years. Just double check that. Yep. Okay. So now, out of this policy where we took the $24,000 instead of buying term and invest the difference, our incomes are almost identical. However, we still have a tax implication over here. So this is our spendable money right here. $80,781 versus $90,000 of tax-free money. This is my spendable money, spendable income. This is not taxable. So I have $90,000 compared to this. Now, again, which one, I ask you, is far riskier? Well, this is. We're saying we've got an 8% return for 30 years, and we're only paying a 1% fee. 8% every single year. By the way, that hasn't happened in market history without a loss. So when you look at some of the factors facing our country, it's unrealistic to think that it's going to happen going forward. So right here we win. Our policy wins big time. And along the way we've had access to this money as well. All right. So when we come over to this side, then someone could always advise or say, look, I want to put it into a tax deferment position. Right. I'm not going to use a taxable. I want to be putting it into 401k. Well, for one, you can't. You can't contribute this much money. If you're self-employed, I guess you could within a SEP, but many of you are not self-employed. But here comes the problem when we do that. What we're doing in that instance is we are postponing all of the tax to that future date. All of it. So really, we have no idea how much is yours. None. We have no clue. No planner does. They can't plan an effective withdrawal strategy for you because they don't know how much is going to be taken out and how much is given to the governments. But we can show it, we can illustrate it, but because of those assumptions, it still doesn't win, right? Even if you have a match. So let's go ahead. Let's just exclude this account. And we're going to add a new account. We're going to say it's a SEP. Tax deferred before tax. SEP. Perfect. Initial value, 0. Keep it at 8%. Okay, and we're going to contribute $23,000 for 30 years. Now, as you come down, you're going to notice, wow, check out that balance at the beginning. Check out that balance at the end, right? But taxes have not been taken into account. No taxes have. So assuming taxes, if we withdrawed all the money, we'd end up with 1.96. So certainly a little bit better over here, but here's the problem. Is this going to happen? Can the government change the rules in a 30-year time frame? What happens if in 15 years your tax rate simply goes up to 35? What does that do? If we are now just at a 35% tax position, let's look at what our ending balance is going to be, about 1.8. Still not that bad, right? What if down here it goes up to 40? You see, it doesn't matter. Anywhere along the way here is irrelevant if this is the year we go to pull it out. Right here. 40%, we're now at 1.6. Okay? We don't know. That's the whole problem. You have no idea how much of this is going to be yours over time. Plus, you're continuing to have this at risk here, which, you know, we've kind of already had that discussion. That's a long time to be putting yourself at risk. You might not even be able to access this money at this time. I know you can at the age of 59 and a half, but what if they change the rules to say you can't? They certainly have the ability to do that. You are not in control of this account. You are in control over here. These factors are already determined. Okay? So when we're truly looking at buying term and investing the difference, what we end up wanting to do is, let's go ahead and exclude this one again. And let's bring this account back in. Okay? And I want to model this for you. So here's the model view of, of our buy term and invest the difference at year 1. Great, we got a lot of money. Let's go out to year 30. Still have some death benefit. Our investment has grown. We do have still some liability attached to that, but look at how much we've transferred. Cumulatively, we have transferred over $784,000. Now, again, the assumptions were capital gains, taxable growth, and our 1% in fee. So we've transferred over $750,000 of our money. Now, if all we did was simply minimize these two columns, future tax liability and our transfers, and dumped it over here, then we would naturally be ahead. And that is exactly what we're looking at doing. So let's go ahead and open up, and let's go ahead and do a model view of this as well. So let's go ahead and go out to year 30. Now you'll notice we have no future liability and we have no transfer dollars. But let's go ahead and run a comparison case. Let's find the desktop here. I think I just had it there. Present position. Now, notice our contributions are the same, but at the end of 30 years, let's just go to the beginning of the year 31 when we're going to be using this money. We have $356,000 in additional tax-free funds. We also have saved $267,000 in taxes paid, because again, in this position, we're paying taxes on our investment. Our balances are fairly negligible. Now, when you look at the fact that some of this is not taxed yet, and this is tax-free, well, this balance certainly wins. But in this position at 8% for 30 years, which one takes on that additional risk to squeak out after 31 years only $165,000 difference, right? Again, this isn't taxed. Not all this is taxed yet. So we have transferred an additional $851,000 out of our system in our term insurance, right? And in our investment. Plus, look what happened. Year 31, we still have our, year 30, we still have our $1 million. If this gentleman were to pass at this point, then this, right now, then this $1 million would come to his family. But if he lived one more year, it's gone. So we have given up, we put the risk on the insurance company. We have access to all this money along the way. We can use it tax-free completely, 165 or 1,625,214. We have 101.625214 in tax-free money, and we have a permanent death benefit that will never go away. So our estate is worth the 3.1. This is tax-free. We have an additional $1.4 million tax-free, and look, it never goes away. Let's go out to year 5186. Is it gone? Nope, it's not gone. Still way up ahead, right? Let's go to year 60. I guess that's 95. Look at all this money we transferred. None. We still have funds. Transferred over $4.5 million. We're still ahead. Buy term and invest the difference. Benefits the insurance company. It is their #1 cash cow product. 99% of all term policies do not pay out. That is a statistic that was proven by Penn State. We can provide you the link for that report. Insurance companies love term policies. Bankers, investment houses, Wall Street love the concept of buy term and invest the difference because they get control of this. Over here, they have no control over it. You do. But over here, they get to play with it. They get to peel off their 1% or 2% in fees. All right? And eventually, if you outlive this, then it's gone. And you lose the only tax-free thing you have. Now, someone might say, yeah, but look how much money you have. You're self-insured. Self-insured, okay. So if I leave these funds to my kids, then they have to deal with all the tax implications. If I leave this, they don't. There are no tax implications to my life insurance for my heirs. So which one would I rather do for the children and the wife that I love? Let the government determine how much is theirs, or keep the government's hands off? So it's no wonder why buy term and invest the difference is so promoted. And but what people don't pay attention to and don't dig into is which one really is the best for them. And it is not the buy term and invest the difference. I'm Kelly O'Connor. We would welcome your questions and your comments. Have a great day.